Hello YouTubers, Chilios2222 here. We're taking a look at the toggle action Luger by Legends. This is a great air pistol. Fantastic accuracy, fantastic fun. It's a semi-automatic, and let's take a look at it. So I have reviewed the Mauser in the past, which is also a Legends product, and that's a fantastic product too. This is your Legends Luger. Really great looking handgun. Do not have an original Luger, unfortunately, to show you. I have fired one. Someone actually had one at the range, and it's a really unique handgun, I think. First, let's make sure that it's clear. We're going to show you that it's clear. Magazine removal is normal, I'd assume, which is right there, unless that was a different design in the past, which I kind of like, the location of the button. This is your magazine. Heavy magazine. This is your 177 caliber or 4.5 millimeter. So this is the BB that it takes. Actually, I happen to have a few here. You can see that they're pretty small little BB. These are very inexpensive. I assume this is a coated copper. Usually you'll see the copper ones. This could be steel, but honestly I'm unsure. I just buy them by the lot. These black ones, they seem to work very well. The recommended for this pistol, which I like, they actually put it on here, and some of the facts. That's your 4.5 millimeter 177, and of course I forgot to show you that the weapon is on safe and how the safety works as we cleared it. Of course, I have no air cartridge in here, gas cartridge. I have an expended one, which is actually this little guy right here. And I use the Crossman cartridge, so might as well show you that at the same time. Obviously, don't heat these up. There's a gas inside here, typically, and that'll be sealed. That is cracked by your magazine. You can see inside your magazine there's a little tip right there. And then what you use to close that up, there's a tool that comes with it, and you need this with the Mauser also. This tool, it actually accepts the same Allen key. Forgive me, I don't know what the size of this is, but that's what's required. And anyway, keep that in your box. But it comes with it, or if you have a tool set, you'll have typically the right Allen key. That'll be screwed up in there. And you'll see that little base plate. That'll come up on your CO2. You see that's rounded. The base plate is actually rounded. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Probably not. I'll try to get it right there for you. But you can see that piece is actually rounded. And the way that you slide the cartridge in, it's fairly easy. Usually a lot of these things are directional, so if you try to slide it in on the wrong side, it's not going to go in on this side. So once you learn the trick to it, this side actually has a wider cut. And what you're going to do is unscrew this all the way. It can be, of course, a little tedious to take these out, but I found that on the gas cartridge itself, this actually gives you a good number of shots, and it's very conservative since it's a semi-auto on your BBs, so you're not going to run through a whole lot of BBs on it, which actually I like a lot better. That and the fact that it is accurate, so this will tip in once you get it open. Now don't go too far out, because I try not to do that. I don't want to lose the screw. And I believe you can tip in I tip the top in first. And just make sure it's lined up. You can tip it back and forth. And then when you're ready, you're going to crank this down, and that's going to crack the gas cartridge. You might want to wear gloves in case any gas escapes. These do get cold after they're fired as well. So when you're taking out the magazines, these will be a little cold to the touch. But you'll get the hang of it. You won't touch them after a while just by thinking about it. This is where the rounds go in, and you've got a lever bar on this side. So you're just going to load those BBs from the top. And I like the magazines like this with the lever bar, because this gives you a little bit of room to move. So let's go back to the stats. Trigger is single action. That just means you pull the trigger and it performs one action. There's no, long pull or anything like that and I have some videos on revolvers that'll show you the difference between single and double, but don't get too wrapped around that. It's just single action, means you're loaded, you pull the trigger, and it's a fairly light squeeze. 177 caliber, that's your typical BB. It's telling you steel BBs. Sights fixed front and rear. On some pistols and rifles, those are adjustable. Some actually you can adjust both, and some people prefer that. Since this is a very close range pistol, I don't think you necessarily need to have a fancy sight on it. That's your rear sight right there. I like the durability of it because it's just kind of built into the handgun itself. There's nothing really, it's not going to come loose on you, which is great. And you don't have to worry about trying to figure out where to send your sights. And this is also very durable. This pistol's quite heavy, and it's a very well built pistol. Nice attention to detail on there. I like how they did that under there. The serial number, the caliber is on there, which is very smart to do. I'm pointing it at my hand. I realize don't do that, but I have made sure this is clear. And that the safety right here, you can see that's German actually, which is a nice touch. These were a German handgun. So you have the fire, very easy. Red, obviously it's danger typically, so if you see the red, it's in danger. Just place the weapon on safe. Then you've got a lanyard loop, which I thought was a nice detail. They kind of like those in the old days. I think that's a throwback to cavalry days when you were on a horse, although you may have been on a horse with this pistol in World War I. I think that's around the time frame, but by World War II, I'm not sure how many horseback cavalry were in place. The other side of the handgun is pretty device-free other than the trigger. And you've got your toggle action, which is, I find, quite easy to load with the toggle action. It was a nice idea at the time. They were one of the few folks that, I'm going to put the magazine in so you can actually see the toggle action, how it works and locks back. So this toggle action, you'd grab, you'd pull that back, and that would lock back for you. So I'm just locking that back. Sorry I was out of frame when I did that, but you can see the toggle action just simply pulls to the rear. Yes, I know the pistol's on fire. And then that's the inside. That's basically where the BB gets fed. And then going forward, once you've loaded the magazine and the rounds are in there, you're simply going to secure that toggle action. Weapon should be on safe. Secure that toggle action, pull back on it, and let go. Don't ride it forward. Just let go of it, as you should with any handgun, to just make sure it's seated. That, I believe, is your disassembly latch. I'm not going to take the handgun apart. So, great pistol. I'll go over the rest of the specs. So I think we were at the fixed sights. You have the manual safety. I showed you that. Barrel is a smooth bore. Doesn't have rifling, but I find it pretty accurate. Barrel length is 4 inches. Danger distance 275. You want to have a nice backstop when you fire always, and make sure that's higher and wider than what you think it should be. And that way, if you were to have an accident, let's hope that doesn't happen, but you want that to be high and wide. Capacity is 21 rounds. I couldn't remember that. I apologize. Power source is the 12 grain capsule, which I showed you, and velocity is 300, which is actually pretty good for a blowback. Surprised on that. I'll show you on the Legends. This is the Mauser. This is the full auto Mauser. This touts 360 FPS, but I think that they both kind of shoot, for me anyway, about the same, really, as far as velocity goes. And this has got some decent zing to the cartridge, if that's a word, zing. But yeah, the Luger, fantastic little pistol. Try to give you a nice close up here. That's your sight picture. Now, what's odd with the toggle action, and what's also kind of interesting, is with the toggle action, a nice feature is once that toggle becomes elevated, and I don't know if they intentionally designed it that way, but once that toggle locks back, you'll see that it's really, really obvious that you need to reload your handgun. So I kind of like that feature in the Luger. This pistol, I think, was a little bit ahead of its time when it came to the design. It was, I believe it was expensive to manufacture and required a lot of hand operations. But they were, as far as fit goes in your hand, just what I find one of the most naturally pointing handguns that's out there. So let's take the magazine out, and again, I'll show you the toggle action. So just simply pulling back on that, letting it go forward. I rode it a little bit, which you're not supposed to do because I'm on camera. But just pull it back towards you, let it go. And that's going to load your first round. When you fire till empty, obviously they've got some warnings on here. It's not a toy. I mean, some people might think a BB gun is a toy, but the fact that it can hurt someone if used improperly doesn't really qualify it as a toy. So use your precautions. As I like to say, don't be stupid. Always point the weapon in a safe direction. And this does zing your BBs pretty well. So overall, this is a great little handgun. I think it's just a really well constructed piece. Umarex did a fantastic job with this, and I'm quite happy with this purchase. So yeah, if you're looking for a really nice quality blowback, which gives you like a little bit more fun, you've got a 300 FPS velocity, 21 rounds, which is decent, an actual real magazine, which is made out of steel BB, 12 gram in the US is a lot easier to find than any other, and it's a full metal piece, ages 16 and up. My sons were actually shooting well before age 16 under supervision. They probably means, you could go 16 without supervision. But what we used when I trained my boys to shoot were the UHCs. This was recommended for 14 years of age, and I had them shooting probably around like 5 years old, 6 years old. I had a little range set up, and this I found was a very safe. I mean, not unsupervised. don't get me wrong, but we went with an airsoft, and I picked pretty much the simplest, least expensive airsoft to go with that was easy to manipulate. It had the safety which locked into place on it. So I think you have to be cocked. So now the little HK here. It's not a real HK. It's just a. But that's on safe, and then fire. I'll clear it out here for you always. You can see there's nothing in there. I'm gonna look myself at a different angle. So obviously you don't want to fire this towards anyone. It's just not nice. You hit them in the eye, that can hurt. But this fires a plastic polymer BB. I really recommend this as a basic. And what's nice is it's one shot. So if you're training someone, they only have one shot that you have to worry about during training, keeping them safe. And once that is fired, then you can monitor them for safety to make sure they load the next round individually. I recommend that for younger people. When you're training them, get them used to the basics and really just pointing the weapon in a safe direction and getting the rounds on target. You can set up some tin cans. It's a lot of fun. So that's another one I would recommend, and it's a hop-up style. And you just pull the slide back all the way. That can be a little tricky sometimes with the young ones. Just make sure they're using enough force and tell them to let it go, and it gets them used to that motion of chambering a little plastic BB. This takes a 6mm BB bullet only. I don't know if I'd call it a bullet as much as I would call it a pellet, but that's what they call it. And that's 1-to-1 scale, so it's, you know, maybe a little large for someone who's 5 years old, but they get the hang of it. So that was my review. Thank you guys. Chilios 2222 with another favorite pistol from Umarex. This is the Parabellum pistol P.08 by Umarex. Take care and don't be stupid.